Hello and welcome to Contra Mundum. My name is Susanna Eileen Martin, and this week I am uniting again with my super geek friend Kevin. Kevin, will you introduce yourself one more time?
Hey, how's it going?
That's not an introduction at all.
Super geek? That's
what I called us before.
That just threw me for a loop, but all right.
Hey, I asked you when I first made these things if you wanted the name Super Geek, and you said it was fine. Introduce yourself, will you?
All right. I'm Kevin. I'm a student at Liberty University. My major is transmedia writing concentration. Big long way of saying storyteller.
Yeah. We write scripts across different platforms of television and movies or whatever. Okay, so this week we have come back. Last time we talked about the superhero movies that have come out over time, and our favorite movies and that kind of thing, and the trailers last time. This time we are reviewing specifically the 2017 superhero movies, and lordy, there are a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
This was a great year for movies. Okay, so the very first one, and one that I didn't immediately think of superhero movies, is Power Rangers. Actually, came out before our first official superhero movie, which is Logan. I actually just saw Power Rangers a couple of days ago. That's the Saban's Power Rangers. I think is how it's listed. Saban?
I think it's Saban.
I don't know.
It's Japanese. Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, so what was your thoughts about Power Rangers?
I actually really liked it. I know a lot of people didn't. A lot of people thought it was bland, but I really enjoyed it because also it was Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, Ninja Turtles, and Power Rangers, and
that
was my childhood.
Yeah.
So seeing that in a major motion picture, I was like, oh my gosh, I was geeking.
Were you nervous
out
going into it?
Crazy. No, because honestly, I was like, if this is like Transformers of Power Rangers, I'm fine with that. That's what I want.
The first Transformers.
Right, the
movie.
first Transformers, okay. I'm fine with that. I wanted a really fun movie, and I got that. I wanted a little bit more action, which I think everybody did. But what I really liked about it was I liked that, yes, there were a lot of silly moments. I liked that they took things a little seriously.
They did.
That was pretty good. Loved Billy. Billy was great.
Billy was awesome. He was by far my favorite.
I also did like the Red Ranger. He's normally bland in the show. Oh gosh, how do I not know? Oh,
I don't know. I feel bad.
Yeah, I feel terrible.
I know he was the Red Ranger, but I
all I'm thinking is Rocky.
Color.
I know it's not Rocky, but all I'm thinking is Jason. That's it, Jason.
Yeah. I remember them by color and not by other than Billy, just because he's Billy.
Mm-hmm. I liked the entire cast. And I really, really liked the explanation for them morphing. I loved that it wasn't just let's morph. It was this learning experience of becoming who you are, and just I really liked that.
Yeah,
I mean, Billy's sacrifice. I mean, I got genuine chills. I mean, and Zordon being kind of a butthole. I didn't mind that because Zordon was so goody two shoes. It was interesting to see what Bryan Cranston did with it.
Was that who that was?
Yep.
I wasn't actually sure who it was.
Yeah.
I didn't look up the cast before I started. The only thing I knew was that the guy that played Jason was the same guy that played the douche canoe in Stranger Things. The guy with the long hair.
He was probably my least favorite part of season 2.
Of Stranger Things?
Yeah. Besides episode 7.
We're not talking about Stranger Things.
Yeah, we'll
have
be
the
here
same
all day.
Problem with episode 7, yeah. Gosh. I was going to say, I've never seen it. I didn't watch it as a kid.
Okay.
By the time I was old enough to realize that Power Rangers was a thing, I already thought it was too campy. I had the same reaction.
It is.
I mean, but I was too old for it at the time.
Okay.
I understand if you grew up with it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with that. And the other one that people always yell heresy at me is Pokemon. I never watched Pokemon as a kid. By the time I tried to watch Pokemon, it was too formulaic and too boring for me. That was the problem with Power Rangers. It was
Mhm.
just like I knew where it was going. I'd been raised on other shows that like I didn't know where it was going, and so it's kind of. But I loved this movie. I know, like I was trying to write a review of it the other day, and I haven't managed to do it because I've been busy. But I had a blast watching it. I thought they did a great job. All of the actors did an awesome job. I liked Zordon as well. I don't know any of the mythos around the show, so I don't know how well it was represented. But yeah, I thought the actors did a great job. I thought that the script was really good. The train scene totally threw me for a loop. I knew it was coming, and it still surprised me.
Yeah, that was good too.
I thought
I haven't seen it in a while, but yeah.
I watched the CinemaSins review of it before I saw the movie,
yeah.
so I knew certain things were happening. But it still surprised me when I saw it. I was like, oh, wow. Whoa. Guess they need... I had the same reaction that CinemaSins. Well, I guess they need a new set of Power Rangers now. But yeah, I mean, I don't get the hate for it unless there's something about it that I don't know, like mythos-wise. If it's one of those movies like what was it? What was that series that I read when I was a kid? The Percy Jackson movies. The Percy Jackson movies are decent movies and awful adaptations. So I don't know. I know it's a reboot, so you can't really give it the same weight you would give an adaptation. But
what I think people didn't like about it, and something I didn't like about it, I wish there was just a much bigger budget.
Yeah.
And I wish we got the same amount of action as Transformers had.
It was kind of interesting. There wasn't a whole lot of action.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of surprised. Like,
I was definitely
for the
surprised by the
most-
character development and the character study almost.
yeah, they spent the most of the time developing the characters.
Yeah.
Which is a really interesting way of doing it.
I think if we just
I
had
would not have
one,
expected it.
I think if we just had one more action scene, I think we would have been a little more satisfied. If
Yeah.
we got one more fight sequence of some sort, I think it would have been maybe not to the level of Transformers, but also like the CGI, it is rough because the
Little bit.
budget wasn't the best.
The Zordon was cool.
Yeah, Zordon was cool. The Megazord I thought was great.
The Megazord looked cool.
And that fight
I kinda
between
wish
Goldar and Megazord, I thought it was well done.
I kind of wish the Megazord had the same colors. Like I thought it was odd that it wasn't the same colors.
Yeah.
Like it was
Well,
just
they made it
one
more
color when
alien.
it was big.
They made it a lot more alien.
Yeah, I mean that's fine, but
And I'm not that big of a Power Rangers fanboy that I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what did you do to Goldar?" Guys, Goldar was a gold blue lion. So, no, I did not want to see a 50-foot gold blue lion of any kind that talked with a gravelly voice. No. What they did with Goldar, and I liked that Rita went into Goldar and
That was
then
cool.
they fought each other. That was
also,
cool. That was
she
a good
was by far the best part of that movie,
She was good.
other than maybe Billy,
Like
because I
What-
thought she was going to be a really boring villain because I've heard people complain about the Power Rangers villain before.
yeah,
but
with
she
the
was
most
gr-
annoying voice
she
ever.
did an awesome job. I
Yeah.
thought
She was great.
She was very convincing, and she was sadistic in a way that I didn't expect at
It
all.
was Rita. Like straight up, it was Rita
So they got the character
that
right?
I felt they didn't get it right because she's so annoying in the original show with like the most screechy voice ever, but anyway, Rita was when I was like, "Oh my gosh, they really are taking this seriously. People are dying. She's blowing up stores. They're taking this
killed
seriously.
so many
Like it
people.
was good. There was a genuine jump scare. In fact, I jumped at Power Rangers before I jumped at the reboot of The Mummy. That
I
is
never saw
so sad.
I never saw the Mummy because it looked awful. But
it
I
was
should mention
atrocious.
I should mention this now. We are going to be going into spoiler territories.
Oh yeah, spoiler for
just so you
for the
know,
who review.
for this entire podcast. Just
If you
assume
haven't
we're going to
seen-
be spoiling.
If you
things.
haven't seen any superhero-ish movie in 2017, do not listen to this podcast
No.
till you do.
no, because we're especially for stuff like Logan. You don't.
Yeah.
We're going to be complaining about specific things, and you don't want to be spoiled by that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Power Rangers thumbs up.
Yeah, I would say Power Rangers thumbs up. Just give me a little more action, and that was that. Yeah, I want a Power Rangers 2. I almost want a petition for it. I
Yeah,
want
wouldn't
another
mind
one.
a second one.
I like
Absolutely.
these characters.
And they teased something.
Tommy.
They teased a character that
They
wasn't
teased
in
Tommy, and Tommy is the Green Ranger. And
there. Is he? Was it?
What
was
was
it
cool
that
about
Rita was
Tommy?
the Green Ranger? Is that what she was?
She's the Green Ranger
Was she the
of
original?
Bryan Cranston's group.
Yeah.
But what was kind of cool, and again, it was 90s cheese, but it was interesting.
That cheesy 90ness.
Tommy was the original Ranger bad guy.
Really?
Because Rita, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen Power Rangers, meanwhile, I don't think anybody's really gonna care, but Rita chose Tommy and said, it takes a Ranger to beat a Ranger. She made him a Green Ranger, and then he has a character arc of turning to a good Ranger.
Huh.
Again, it's 90s cheese, but it was a good story for us kids.
Yeah.
Like, it felt
that sounds
almost...
like something I would have actually enjoyed.
It almost felt like they pulled a Star Wars in a way, where they did deal with this good versus evil, turn to the dark or light side kind of thing.
Okay.
I liked it, and
So
I hope that we go that direction in the sequel.
So
Make
you
it darker.
would want to
Make
see
it.
that
Oh,
one.
I would love to see.
I don't know if I necessarily want to see it darker than it was, because geez, it was kind of dark.
What I mean by dark is
But you mean you want to
make
see
the
him.
characters go through a dark situation.
Yeah. I mean, enough that they did this time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have much more to say about that. We liked it.
Mhm.
I don't get the hate. I've seen people who really disliked it, but I liked it. Yeah, could have used more action, but otherwise it was great on character development, and honestly, that's not something you see a lot in these kinds of movies. So,
Now,
great job,
word of
actors and directors.
Word of the wise, it's not an Oscar-winning film.
No.
Like, the acting, it's good. It's not the greatest. It's good. There's a lot of lines that are really, really silly. I'm looking at, I believe his name's Zach, Black Ranger. He has a lot of cringy lines. So just go into it knowing that, yeah.
The only two characters I thought that were a little undeveloped were the pig, Trini.
Oh, she was yellow. She was the yellow Ranger.
One.
Yeah.
Yellow one and black one were a little underdeveloped. The other couple of characters had already gotten a lot of development by the time they showed up.
Mhm.
So but honestly, I don't know. Maybe they'll do more with those characters later on. I thought they were fine.
I want a sequel.
There's
That's really what it comes down to.
There were
They
so
were
many-
interesting enough
Yeah.
that I definitely want a sequel.
There were so many characters, and they had to get them developed so quickly that, I mean, obviously someone's going to be a little underdeveloped. And I thought those two sort of got the short end of the stick. But okay, so let's move on to our next movie, I think chronologically, which is Logan. So I liked Logan. I know you have mixed feelings about it. I'll give my sort of 2 cents first, and then you can rip into it. I thought it was of Marvel movies, I'd say it's probably, I know you're going to get mad when I say this, but I'd say it's probably the Dark Knight of the Marvel movies. It was that sort of odd, not really a normal superhero type movie. And it was very dark, and I could have used with less F-bombs. I thought they were kind of distracting. But I mean, a couple was fine, but I mean, overall I liked it, and it was so heartbreaking. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is that I came out of there with all the feels. I went to see it with my sitcom class, and we all had kind of the same feeling. Our professor didn't like it as much, but the rest of us were just like, oh, there's just all the feels, and it's just seeing these characters go through what they do, and having watched them for our whole lives, it's just kind of hard to watch in certain places. So, okay, what is your thoughts on Logan?
My thoughts are, it is a phenomenal, fantastic movie. The acting, cinematography, special effects, makeup, everything. It is a fantastic movie. Or, sorry, I'm misdirecting, because direction was great too.
Definitely.
Editing, everything. It was a phenomenal film. It is a Dark Knight, absolutely. Just not my taste. Honestly, that's what it is. Like, I'm not going.
The last time I said it was like the Dark Knight.
I'm not going to, because I had a lot of time to think, and I really thought about Logan. Just because I didn't like it, I'm not gonna say that it's a bad movie. It's just, it wasn't. I'm not a huge Western fan. Never really have been. I don't really like that pace. It maybe it's because I'm ADHD. I like when things are moving. And there were parts where things were like, I'm falling asleep here.
It was a little slow. For me, the first two, I have the same problem with Logan as I did with Rogue One, where the first 2/3 of the movie were a little slow, and honestly, Rogue One was much worse in my case. We might have to do a Star Wars podcast at some point, but I didn't like the pacing was a little slow in the first 2/3, but gosh, that last third made up for it. The end of Logan was just action-packed and awesome, and getting to see old man Logan and the little kids doing stuff, and man, it was so cool. Okay, so let's talk about some of our specific gripes with it, because I agree that the acting and the directing and the cinematography, everything technical was beautiful. There were some story issues that I had with it, though, where, okay, the one thing that our professor brought up about it was the first thing that really, really bugged me. Why would you stop at the house of this family? Like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, they're all gonna die. That's unfortunate. Because it just didn't make any. Why would he knew that was gonna happen. He shouldn't have let Xavier talk him into it. Logan knew it was going to happen. It was so very obvious from the second they pulled over to help the people with the horses that everything was gonna go bad and they were all gonna get slaughtered, and it was really disappointing. What did you think about that?
I'm going to actually defend it.
Why?
I'm going to defend it.
Okay, go ahead. You actually have to do that.
I know. I'm going. Hold on. I got to think about it. The themes and what Logan needed to learn was in that one scene. And it had to happen that way. And by the way, your reaction, the director's basically clapping his hands going, yes. That's exactly how you're supposed to feel. That's exactly.
It was dumb, though. I don't feel like these characters would have made such a stupid mistake.
The problem is, how else would you do the theme of looking at a family filled with love, and basically Charles saying, this is something you could have. If you wanted it, this is something you could have. And then reality smacking it in the face, saying to Logan, no, you can't. Basically, my big gripes is something that Cinema Wins said. He said, basically, the theme of this movie is disappointment.
Gosh,
and
yeah,
that's why, personally, I don't like the movie. Because, yes, The Dark Knight is a very dark and very almost depressing movie. But what I like about it is there's hope. When Commissioner Gordon and his son are talking, and the son's like, why is he running? And Gary Oldman says, because we have to chase him, because he is better, because he's not the one it needs right now. Like, everybody's heard that line, because that is very hopeful. This, Logan's dead. And it is, and unfortunately, it's not a disappointing death. Actually, in my eyes, I thought it was. To be perfectly honest, I thought it was a little bit of a disappointing death. The death scene is great. How he died, I felt was a little weak. But it's all about disappointment. Where, wow, he had a daughter that actually loves him and he loves, and he's dead. Yeah. The one time that he felt, I want to live, and I can't, because I'm actually going to die now.
Yeah. I don't know. There is a certain bit of hopefulness that you get because the kids escaped.
Oh, yeah.
There's that.
Yeah,
okay,
that's true, but, like, our hero and Hugh Jackman's leaving.
And that's horrible.
Like, that, honestly, when I started to cry and, like, do the sup in the theater, was seeing that kid holding a Wolverine doll at his gravesite. Because I was like, because I wasn't even thinking Logan's dead. I was thinking Hugh Jackman's not playing this part anymore.
So
and
sad.
He's amazing.
He really is.
So it was almost like our Wolverine died.
Yeah.
In real life.
Yeah.
And it was, and that's why I kind of got the sups.
Subs. I've never heard that before. Yeah, okay. The other story problem I had is there was so little that was explained. Like, I almost thought that this was, like, not even canon to the rest of the X-Men stories, and I'm not entirely certain it is, but there was so little that was explained, because when we left Days of Future... Was Days of Future Past the last one? Or was it Apocalypse? When we left Apocalypse and Days of Future Past, like, everything was fine. Everything was perfectly fine and going well, and I don't know what happened. And the explanation that they give is not adequate. The explanation that somehow Charles killed all of the super people? Like, what? There are so many super people that definitely would have survived, and enough, like, telepaths or whatever that they probably could have counteracted it. And I'm so confused. I'm still really confused about how that happened and why Logan was the only one left.
And yet again, that's exactly what they wanted. Like, the filmmakers wanted
I know it's
that.
what they wanted. I know
and
they
the
wanted
reason
to annoy
why,
you, but that's not what I want as a viewer.
Well, see, that's why I keep saying it's a great movie, but I didn't really like it. Like, honestly, that's what when people talk about Logan, they go, "Oh man, do you want to see Logan again?" And I'm like, "Not really."
No.
Cuz I didn't like it.
I have the same thing. I would not want to rewatch it again.
Right. And it's not because it's a bad movie. We've all seen really bad films. I like one bad film. I know this is a terrible film, but I like it because I think it's really silly, really stupid, but I laugh every time and I'm entertained. Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. That is one of the stupidest, but
I honestly haven't even seen it. I stopped watching them after a while.
I laughed.
Shia LaBeouf left. I left too.
Well, I laughed at a lot of the really bad humor, but I also I was entertained. A lot of really dumb stuff did entertain me. But with this, it's not dumb. It's very tight. Every single, even though we may say that there's some story beats that aren't that good, I don't think it's that they're not good. It's that these story beats are what the filmmakers wanted. We just disagree with them.
Yeah.
And that's not, and I feel like nowadays with all this social media and podcasts, like what we're doing right now, and with all these reviewing shows, I feel like nowadays people review a movie based on what they didn't like.
Yeah, and honestly, like I have a lot of the same problems that our professor came up with and that you have with it, but none of it's enough to make me dislike it. We're going to talk about Spider-Man later, and you have a lot of problems, and I have a lot of the same problems with it, but...
Grr.
We're going to... Hold on, we're going to talk about it later. But there's nothing in it that makes me dislike it. It's so good that I can overlook the issues that I have with it enough to still enjoy it. Or once. I wouldn't want to watch it again. It doesn't have very much rewatch value for me because it's not like most superhero movies. Most superhero movies are designed to make you rewatch them. This one was designed to end the character, and it wasn't meant to be rewatched.
This is also a really big nitpick. Two big nitpicks when it comes to Laura. Number one, she screamed all of her dialogue,
Yeah, she did.
and I didn't like that.
I thought it was great.
I wish she would have spoken more during fighting, but that's just me. But also, I wish that Laura, like, I'm sorry, to me, I didn't really like that she was acrobatic and flying all over the place and like she was super good at what she was doing. I felt like it would have been more effective and scarier as all get out if she didn't know what she was doing. What if for the first time this thing comes out of her hand and she stabs a guy and doesn't really know what she's doing? That's horrifying.
Yeah, I guess, but it doesn't really make sense in context.
What I'm thinking is, like, have Logan be the experienced fighter and have him almost teach her how to do things.
I agree that would have been an interesting way of doing it.
Oh, it would have been interesting. By the way, that's a total nitpick.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not really valid.
I agree
that
would have been an interesting way to do it, but I don't think but I don't think Logan would have ever done it. I mean, if it was any other character, there are many characters that would have trained that kid, but Logan is not one of them.
There is another thing that, in my opinion, not a nitpick. It's one of the reasons why I don't like the movie. Wolverine had some likability to him. Not in this movie. I didn't like him. I'm going to tell you right now,
Mm.
you got it to the point where I didn't really like him till the end. There
was a
were
little-
times when he was too much of a jerk. Like, I understand he's a broken man. I get that. But, like, there were moments where he wasn't even a hero anymore. And I personally, I don't like those kind of stories
I
because
don't either.
being a Christian, I like good people. I like
I like it when the good
I like
guy
when the
wins,
good
and I
guy
like it
is
when
a
the
good
guy's
guy.
a good guy.
Like,
yeah.
for instance, what the heck are you doing, DC? But anyway,
we'll get there. Don't worry.
we'll get there. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I agree, and honestly,
Mhm.
I was really annoyed by Charles. I thought Xavier was more annoying than Wolverine, and I've always liked Wolverine. I've always liked Hugh Jackman being Wolverine.
I
and
was
so
just
honestly,
yeah.
it didn't seem any more different. He's the guy that tells you to go F yourself if you come up to him, and like that doesn't seem out of character for him, and I still like him.
Mhm.
Charles annoyed me just partially because I didn't know what was going on sometimes, but okay, I want to finish this one on a happy note. Can we talk about the acting for a second? Every single person just absolutely gave their all. It
I was just
amazing.
about to say, the reason why I wasn't annoyed with Charles, I probably would have. My mouth was to the floor looking at Sir Patrick Stewart going, yes, he's finally back. Like, we haven't seen him act
I know,
really
right?
well in a long time. And what I really liked about it was he acted like the first one in my eyes.
First X-Men?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it was almost back to that. But just like, wow, his acting chops was so well done.
He is absolutely incredible. They're all
he was
really,
great.
really good actors.
Everyone was
Honestly,
great.
the one I was the most impressed with was the kid.
Oh, the kid
I
was
haven't
fantastic.
seen child acting like that as good
Kid was fantastic.
since I watched Room. Have you seen Room?
I haven't.
It's the kid does such a good
Mhm.
job, and I was
Oh, yeah,
absolutely
I've
I
heard
was not
a
at
lot
all
of things
surprised that
about
he
it.
was up there and running for best male actor.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the kid did an amazing job. She did screech a little bit, but in context with the character, it made sense.
Oh, I'm not saying it was her fault. That
No.
was in the script, and that was what the director wanted.
I don't know who the director for that was.
James Mangold.
Okay, I didn't look it up, but my gosh, he did an amazing job. Like, to
He-
get those kinds of performances out of that many people is just impressive.
Because back then, a Western had some of the best acting. See, this is another reason why I don't like it. I don't like Westerns. I just don't.
It is
They're
kind
just
of a
not
Western in a
my
certain
kind
way.
of. Well, they made a superhero Western. That's what they made. And you either like that or you don't. I just didn't. My opinion, I didn't really like that whole Western take. But that's just me. And also, I don't like the post-apocalyptic setting. I never have. I think it's so boring.
I thought it was
I think
weird,
it's so dull
especially
because all it is a desert. And I'm sorry, that's not interesting one bit. Now, they go to Vegas, but like that's pretty much
Is that
it.
where they went?
It's Vegas, and then there's a forest scene. The forest scene was interesting.
Well, they had the family scene on the farm.
Well, again, that's post-apocalyptic, Western, desert. It just, to me, it just doesn't grab me. Never really has.
Yeah, I understand.
Because of that slow pace. Maybe it's just me being ADHD. I just don't like that slow pace. I need something to move.
Okay, so let's go ahead and finish with that.
Mhm.
We tried to finish it on a good note.
But yes, acting is absolutely fantastic.
Let's talk about something that has a little bit of a faster pace. In your favorite movie, I believe of this year is Guardians of the Galaxy, right? 2.
I will go on record. This wasn't just the best movie this year. This was the best movie I've seen in so long.
Really?
Years.
See,
Probably years.
I would rank it as about as good as the first one, but I wouldn't say it's better than certain other ones.
See, the reason why also I'm going to get comfortable here cuz you heard, for anybody that heard the podcast when I came last time, I tore Guardians of the Galaxy 1 apart. I was like, I can't stand these characters. They're annoying. That's not my kind of humor and everything. After seeing Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I watched Guardians 1 again, and the parts that I groaned, I laughed. The
That's
parts
funny.
where I looked at them like, oh, I don't like you, I loved. It made me like the first one.
I had the same reaction with Age of Ultron, wherein when I first watched it, I didn't really like it, but having watched the movies that tie into it afterwards, Civil War and Thor Ragnarok, make me like Age of Ultron more than I did before. Just because of the way it ties in and where I know that it's going, it makes it better for me. But honestly, okay, so my thoughts with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Volume 2, whatever they decided to pretentiously call it.
It wasn't pretentious. It fit with the actual universe. It was
Call
talking
anything
about
else
a
Volume
cassette
2.
tape.
Yeah, I understand. But anyway, so I thought that I actually thought Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was a little slower with the main cast. Whereas the outside cast had a little bit more action and adventure. But I mean, there were a lot of things that I liked about it, and honestly, I enjoyed it immensely. I can't remember what I ranked it. I just finished a ranking system, but I'll have to look it up while you're talking in a second. But I mean, I thought all of the actors again did a great job. I loved the villain. I thought he was great. I didn't see.
Yes.
I remember when we talked about trailers last year.
Oh
I mentioned that I didn't
gosh,
know where the
yes.
story was going, and so it was fascinating to get to see it sort of play out because I didn't know anything about it. So I thought the villain did a great job. I thought,
Well, Kurt Russell's the man. if you've seen Backdraft, his
I haven't.
acting's phenomenal in that movie.
Yeah. He did an awesome job. It was
he's
nice
great.
to see the backstory. I really liked that. And I loved his story with Yondu. Yondu. I was so sad at the end because I really liked Yondu. He was one of my favorite things about Guardians of the Galaxy 1, and just getting rid of him was just, oh man. Okay, you can go ahead and go while I look
All
up
right.
where
So
I placed it.
this is going to blow people away because I have not heard anybody say this on any review channel or any YouTube video. I will go on record again saying Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is the closest we're going to get to another Empire Strikes Back. It was that well done. Surprises, like basically the Luke, I am your father in this movie was essentially when I put that tumor in your mother. I
I flipped.
floored. And his reaction was priceless. People, like, what was funny was people didn't know whether to laugh or to, like, be, like, whoa. I was so shocked.
The way they did it, watching the
Oh, it was
light
so great.
die from Peter's eyes.
Yeah, it was so good.
Gosh, that
Like,
was harsh.
Okay, I watched a Cinema Wins video of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And when he showed clips, I started getting chills and tearing up and crying all over again, and I'm like, I'm not even watching the movie. And I'm getting this emotional. There were so many character moments, so many things that I really like. The theme of family really drove home. Where you didn't, I don't know if you didn't like Yondu dying. Yondu dying cemented that movie for me.
No, I liked it as a story
Like-
component.
Oh yeah.
I disliked it as a person watching
And
it.
in my eyes, MCU, Disney, you better not bring him back. Oh, you better
no, he's dead. He
not
needs to stay away.
bring him back. Because if you do that, you ruin one of the greatest movies I've seen in so long and just But anyway.
So I looked up my ranking,
Yeah.
and I ranked the first Guardians of the Galaxy. There are 17 official MCU movies, including the Incredible Hulk.
Good night.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That's so many.
I ranked the original Guardians of the Galaxy at 6, and I ranked the new one at 11. But that doesn't where I ranked it for 6 doesn't really matter. For 11 doesn't really matter because there's a whole bunch of them that I think are basically on the same level. And that's my middle of the pack from basically my ranking, like pretty much 6 to 12. Basically don't mean anything. They're just as good, in my opinion, as all the other movies in that list. I have 5 that I really like. I have 3, something like that I really dislike. Or 2. 3 that I really dislike. I really disliked Iron Man 2, Hulk, and Thor: The Dark World. Oh, and Age of Ultron. Okay, there's 4 that I really dislike. I mean, but that's like dislike in terms of against other Marvel movies. I still like all of them with the exception of maybe the Hulk, just because I thought it was lame. But all of these movies, I think, rank better than all of the DC movies, which there are 4 of, by the way. 17 Marvel movies, 4 DCU movies. But we'll get to DCU later. But yeah, I liked Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I don't know. It didn't impact me as much. And I think it might have been it was a little slower paced, and it was more fun to get to know these characters than it was to keep watching them. But I am looking forward to them showing up in Infinity Wars. It doesn't look like from the trailer like they're going to show up until close to the end, but they're going to be so much fun.
This movie, in my eyes, was so good that I don't want an Infinity War trailer. I don't want an Infinity War. I want Guardians of the Galaxy 3 where they all fight Thanos. Because Nebula is tied to Thanos. Gamora's tied to Thanos. Just imagine Peter looking at Thanos going, oh my God, this is awful. Just like, but anyway, like, it was so good in my eyes, I almost can't even describe. And like, I'm losing the words
on a podcast.
to do.
We kind of need you to do that.
I'm trying. Like, there's just so many things going on in my head of so many moments that were so good. And one of the things that I did want to bring up is a lot of people are like, man, a lot of those jokes really weren't funny.
Oh, yes, they were.
Yes. But a lot of those jokes that I could see in the right context, a lot of those jokes I looked at as sometimes you're not supposed to laugh. It's to dive into the person's character that, wow, this guy's really being mean, or wow, this guy is saying a terrible joke to avoid something serious.
Yeah, I think one character that had that a lot was Rocket.
Yes,
I loved it. I love the character development with Rocket in this.
Absolutely.
And Baby Groot was just freaking adorable. But
Baby Groot was awesome. I mean, that entire scene, I just wanted an entire movie of Baby Groot coming back with certain items, because that was the funniest.
So
like, literally, it was a laugh riot in the theater. People were like falling out of the chair. They were laughing that hard because that was so good. I think one of the reasons why I love this movie so much is these characters weren't characters. They felt so real this time around. They were people.
They were very human.
And also, like, when Peter and his father were fighting and doing the Man of Steel thing, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, so much CGI, but I cared so much.
Yeah.
I just felt like I've been missing that so much. Like, again, it's almost difficult to put into words because there's so much happening in my head right now. But like, a movie that literally made me tear up and cry 4 times at the end, I haven't done that in such a long. Guys,
Yondu almost got me.
Guys,
I don't cry during superhero movies, but gosh, Yondu almost got me.
I've never cried at Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. I don't think a lot of people do. And to me, I'm kind of like, if, like, you got to think about movies, you got to think about, like, ranking in terms of things. If something had that kind of emotional impact, like, I'm not saying it's better than Empire. Don't get that wrong. But that's why I say it's as close to Empire as we're going to get, because it got darker. It got more serious. It delved into the characters in such a deep and powerful way. I mean, just that amazing shot of, and what was fantastic was you didn't need the dialogue to bash you over the head when Peter is just screaming no, and you just see Yondu just pat his face like a real father would.
Yeah, that was
It's
hard.
unbelievable. And I give all credit to James Gunn. Disney basically
did a fantastic job.
Disney basically said, all right, you made us a lot of money. You're on your own. Go right ahead. Have fun. And he did. And that's why I think it is a phenomenal film.
This was kind of the year of Disney saying you do you to the directors, because you definitely get that sense with
Ragnarok.
And you get it with Guardians of the Galaxy. The only other one I guess this year was Spider-Man, which I feel like they had a little tighter control just because it was Sony and they didn't want to mess it up. But yeah, they clearly gave them a lot more creative control than they normally do for these kinds of movies. It's the kind of thing where I wish that they'd been able to do that for something like Ant-Man and Edgar Wright. Just let him do what he wants to do and live with the consequences. Because I think Ant-Man would have been better if they'd kept him.
I have a feeling one of the reasons why Edgar Wright left, and I think they said, we're going to just have our differences. I think Edgar Wright really wanted to go dark with Ant-Man to the point of killing a lot of people. And Marvel's, like, Kevin Feige's like, we haven't set that up yet. Like, we want Thanos to be the one that's going to kill so many people. We don't want this little Ant-Man. I did not mean to make that pun.
Good job. We don't want this.
We don't want this
sort of inconsequential movie
that to be so dark. And seeing Baby Driver, you're kind of like, yeah, Edgar Wright's dark.
Man, he could go dark.
Edgar Wright's real dark.
I knew that when I watched Shaun of the Dead. I mean, that's a surprisingly dark movie. Actually, most of his movies are surprisingly dark.
Not Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz is awesome.
Yeah, but even
Hot Fuzz was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, but even Hot Fuzz, like
probably
the whole
black
like,
comedy,
killing
but
off
yeah,
random people, that was weird. But yeah, I would say like Hot Fuzz is a little less.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shaun of the Dead is surprisingly dark and surprisingly good acting. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, I think we're about done with that. I think we both liked it well enough. I think it was really good. I still didn't like it as much as I liked the first one, but maybe that's just me. I definitely appreciated the character development though. They did a really good job with that. Okay, so next, what is our next movie? I need to look it up real quick. Our next one, is it Spider-Man? Did Spider-Man come out before Wonder Woman? Let's talk about Spider-Man. Okay,
I think Wonder Woman came out June 2nd, so actually...
Was it Wonder Woman?
No. Spider-Man was July.
Spider-Man was July. Okay, so Wonder Woman's
we'll
first.
Do Wonder
Wonder Woman. Okay. These next two movies are ones that we sort of disagree on a little bit. But
not a little bit.
Okay. Definitely not a little bit with Spider-Man, but you said you've reevaluated your position on Wonder Woman. Let me get my 2 cents first. I thought it was by far the best DC movie. It's middle of the road if I was comparing it to Marvel movies, but it's definitely the best DC. Great character development. Gal Gadot.
I think it's
I originally said Gadot.
I think it's Gadot. I don't know.
She's Israeli. Whatever. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry.
Well, that's not very nice.
I'm sorry, Wonder Woman. You did such a great job. But yeah, she did a great job. She was very, very convincing as Wonder Woman. I thought Chris Pine did a great job for what he was.
Captain America.
He wasn't Captain America. He was a little more rough around the edges to be Captain America.
He was Captain America.
I mean, kind of, but he was in purpose, but not in personality. He did fine. I liked the way they did the Amazons. It was shot pretty. It had colors, which is unusual for a DC film. Obviously because Zack Snyder wasn't as dug into it. And I mean, say what you will about the guy, but he doesn't like colors very much. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was good for a origin story. We haven't gotten many of those lately. But yeah, I mean, for an origin story, it was really good. I liked the acting. I liked the ending was kind of lame. That's my only real gripe with this movie, is that the ending's a little lame. But we talked about this the other day. I did a sort of pre-interview with Kevin so that we would kind of...
So then she wouldn't kill me.
So I wouldn't kill him, yeah. I have strong opinions on these things. Yeah, okay. But you said you have sort of reevaluated your position. You were a little bit more negative than you were before. So what is your thoughts now about Wonder Woman?
Okay. I'll tell you a little bit of my negative thoughts first, like my initial thoughts. I didn't like it. Coming out of the film, I just did not like it. Then I watched it a second time. I didn't like it more. And then I watched it a third time after talking with Susanna during that pre-interview thingy. And I watched it. And it was the beginning. And I'm watching the beginning. And I'm like, nope. Still not liking this. And it hit the middle. And I was like, this is a good movie. I like this.
You know,
Right.
that's an
Like,
interesting thought.
the middle was awesome. Like, when they get to London, I was like, this is great. I love this. This is all, this not, and it didn't feel like Marvel. It felt like its own thing.
Yeah, it did.
I liked it. And then the ending. So,
Well, hang on.
yeah.
That's an interesting thought because a lot of times with a movie, the middle is a difficult area to do well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this movie did a great job with its. Honestly, I know I compared Logan to Rogue One earlier, where I didn't like the first two acts, and then I did like the last one. I mean, I did like Logan, but I compare Wonder Woman to what was the one that came out before Rogue One? Last
Force
Jedi.
Awakens.
No, The Force Awakens. Gosh. Yeah, the Force
As you could
Awakens.
tell, I didn't like that one.
I did. We tend to disagree on these things, but I compare Wonder Woman to the Force Awakens, where the first two acts were really good, and the ending was lackluster. You know, but yeah, the ending was kind of lame. Keep going with your
Okay,
section of the
so
review.
basically, what I was saying is, like, I love the middle. I wish it kept that going for the end, and I wish that the middle was how it began. I know a lot of people love the Amazon things. That was the cheesiest thing I've ever, like, okay,
You
now
like
there's
the Amazons?
now there's
As a
Greek,
man?
like, but hold on, like, not you know what I mean, like, just I felt like it was just
Sorry.
really, really cheesy to me. Like, it felt almost like those cheesy 80s films
Really?
where you had to get, like, Warcraft, like an owner. I didn't buy it. And also, like, what I liked about Thor was, oh my gosh, the Norse gods, they're not gods, they're aliens. That's ingenious. That's interesting. I've never thought about that.
And then Wonder Woman goes, wait,
Wonder Woman is, oh my
Greek
gosh,
gods
we
are
have
real.
Greek gods who can
why?
die. And I'm going, okay.
Is
So
that-
what are Kryptonians? What are Green Lanterns? Like, so okay.
They are definitely aliens.
Okay,
Oh, I mean,
so did
well,
the
not all
gods
aliens.
so did the gods make Krypton? That's, like, there's too many. Like, my brother and I watched it, and we looked back at each other, and we went.
Wait, what did they just do?
I went, okay, so the gods exist. Like, I understand that, yes, that is a part of the Wonder Woman mythology. Absolutely,
Is it normally? Because I don't know.
It is,
Okay.
but they just kind of threw it in of there are gods, they exist, and
Let's
also,
not give you any more
you
information
know what else
about this.
really didn't make any sense, and I was just so confused.
What's that?
When they were like, we give thanks to the gods and we pray to the gods, and I'm going, you just said that the gods are dead.
They're all dead.
Why are you
What are you
praying to
praying
dead gods? Like, wouldn't you kind of move on from them? Like, I didn't get that. And also, like, where are their powers coming from if the gods are dead? Like,
Why is
that might be a nitpick.
Why is Ares the only one that still was he called Ares? Or was he called the other one?
Ares.
Okay, Ares, right, not
What-
Mars. I get my Greek
Okay,
and Roman mixed up
so
sometimes.
basically,
Why
like,
was he the only one left?
well,
There are a lot of
a
questions
lot of basically
that
it,
putting that in there
yeah,
adds.
it just.
And I agree, that's kind of weird.
But also, where the film kind of lost me was I did not like that little girl. Like,
Little
I thought
girl?
she was so.
You mean little Wonder Woman?
The little Wonder Woman was not the Wonder Woman we got as an adult. She was bratty, like this rebellious, not following the rules ever. Just it didn't even look like she cared about anyone, in my eyes. But also, that scene where she's looking at all the Amazonians and she's pretending to be them. I understand why they did it. I do. But please, guys, put that shoe on the other foot. If Superman was with a bunch of Kryptonians and the little Superman started doing punches, that's the cheesiest thing in the world. Like, I'm sorry, it just felt so cheesy. And the dialogue about how she's special, but we're not going to tell her why she's special.
Yeah, it was weird.
The beginning just didn't work. And even Chris Pine's introduction, I was like, Patrick and I looked at each other and went, uh-oh. Like, a lot of people laugh at that line.
Patrick's his brother, by the way.
Yeah, sorry. A lot of people laugh at that line that Chris Pine delivers when he says, I'm a spy. we thought that was stupid. Like we
I thought it
felt
was funny.
we felt it was really over the top.
Overactive.
Over the top. It would have been actually funnier if it was subtle. If it was, yeah, I'm a spy and I work for this government agency.
Kind of like how,
Oh my God. Like, that would have been hilarious if he was just like, I can't believe I just told you that.
In Justice League, when
Yes.
yes,
something
when
very
Aquaman
subtle.
gets his hand wrapped around the thing,
Yes.
or whatever part of him wrapped around the thing, and he starts just rambling.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was great, and I agree that maybe they should have done it that way, but I don't know.
But
I
that's just
fine.
That threw me off. The other thing that kind of really just, I know it does happen in a lot of superhero movies, but I just felt it a lot more here that I didn't feel with a lot of the other superheroes. Every single choice she made was defiance. And again, me being a Christian, I don't like defiance. I don't like when a hero disobeys orders. I don't like... Yes, I understand that Captain America did that too. So we are playing fair here. I didn't like it when he did that either. I mean, I understand why he did it. And yes, it was a good thing that he did. It's just I don't like when people do disobey. It just... To me, that's not being a hero. That's being... Not necessarily selfish. It's just... That's not a good quality to have in my eyes, where she's defying everyone.
I think it makes a little difference because of the way that Captain America does it. Like, he
feels bad.
He feels bad about it, and he has to do it.
Yeah.
In a lot of
she
cases,
felt
like,
she felt almost like I'm
always have to
entitled
do
to do this.
Yeah.
I need.
She was kind of like a princess.
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah. She. Yeah.
I mean, I thought it
But
was
basically, when they get no, I did not like that ad-lib scene of them talking about sex on the boat, and it just
I didn't like the fact that she slept with him at all.
No, I didn't like
we haven't
any
had
of it.
something
Although
like that in
I
any
did like
superhero
this.
movie.
I did like that guy had morals.
Yeah.
That was nice. That was really nice to see. That was back at a good time where he's like, I don't know you. I'm not sleeping with you. That was great. I liked that. But anyway, like, I loved everything from, like, my favorite part of Wonder Woman was when, and I know it's kind of funny that I just talked about, like, defiance. I did really like when these military people were talking about soldiers like they were nothing, and she's like, how dare you? Those are people. Those are actual
That was the
people.
one thing that
I felt like, that's great. She's a mother. I love that aspect.
A mother.
Yeah, she felt like a mother.
She's a little motherly.
She felt like a mother, and I loved that aspect.
I love how much she cared about civilians and how much she cared about everybody in it.
If I'm going to say one good thing about Wonder Woman, she was a superhero who wanted to save people. Yes, finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
And that's a big problem that I've had with a lot of the DC movies.
Because even the Suicide Squad, and I know we hate that movie, but also they didn't want to save people either.
No.
So it's just like, no. Although
Batman didn't want to save people.
I will
Batman
say
vs.
this.
Superman, he just wanted to beat up Superman.
Superman
Superman didn't care.
I will say this.
He was the closest we've gotten to a heroic hero in DC.
I will say this. I did like Man of Steel more than Wonder Woman. And I know everybody's
Really?
like, oh my gosh, how dare you.
I can understand why you would.
I liked it more because, again, I liked more than the middle of the film. I wish
I loathed all of it.
I wish Superman got an entrance like Wonder Woman did. That would have been nice. But he didn't, and that's whatever. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, and another reason why I think I didn't like Wonder Woman as much as everybody else did was, and please, I'm not trying to sound weird with this. Hear me out. I did not see a romantic chemistry between Chris Pine and Gal Gadot. I saw brother-sister.
You thought that was weird?
And when they kissed, I was like, oh no. Because I knew it was coming, but I was like, this feels so much more like dragging little sister who knows nothing around. Like, in London, it felt like, this is my little sister, I'm sorry, she doesn't know any better. Like, it didn't feel like romantic to me.
he was a little overly protective of her in certain cases, especially when he knows full well how capable of defending herself she is. But yeah,
like I liked that they were partners. I just didn't get there was no romantic. And also, if you're talking about like the part when she sees him naked, number one, she didn't even check him out. She was kind of like, okay, you're a guy. Is that what all guys look like? Like it didn't.
Well, to be fair,
it didn't really matter to her.
If you were Wonder Woman and you never seen another male,
exactly, it's kind of like
I wouldn't be surprised at her reaction. But I mean, still, if I personally, if I was Wonder Woman and I saw a naked guy, I mean, I would probably be looking at the one thing that he has that I don't. You know,
this just went into weird territory. Yeah. I didn't mean to do that. I just knew that everybody else would go, but he saw no.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know. I disagree.
And also, brothers and sisters can dance together, and I thought that was a really sweet moment too.
I thought it was still a sweet moment, even if they had the chemistry.
I just did not see a romantic relationship.
They didn't have a whole lot of chemistry. I will give them that.
No, they had chemistry. Like, they absolutely had chemistry.
But not that kind of chemistry.
Not a romantic.
Yeah.
And I don't know whose fault that is. It just, I didn't buy it. Now, a lot of people loved their chemistry in a romantic way. I just didn't.
Honestly, I didn't really care about the romantic subplot at all. It wasn't a really big deal.
See, but the reason why you have to is that's kind of the point in the end.
I know it's the point in the end. That's part of the reason I don't like the ending.
Exactly, and that's the problem. But anyway, like, just if we're gonna talk about the end, we'll be here all day.
Yeah.
Actually,
speaking of being here all day, I think most people agree that the ending is sort of lackluster and kind of boring. But speaking of being here all day, we are at an hour now, and we've still got a couple more episodes. We've still got a couple more ones to do. And as much as I don't want to start off the next episode talking about Spider-Man, we're going to start off the next episode talking about Spider-Man. So for now,
before we do go,
let
me just say
one more thing.
2 things about the end. Just 2. First, I was just confused through, like, as soon as Ares showed up being Nigel Thornberry.
Oh my God. That was so lame.
Yeah. As soon as he showed up, things just didn't make sense. Like the cocaine that made you get superpowers. Like, I'm sorry. Everything just didn't make sense after that. And then after he died, you saw Americans and Germans hugging each other.
Why?
And I'm going, okay, was Ares under their control? Like, it just didn't make sense. And guys, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, the biggest elephant in the room, World War II. So, like,
if Ares isn't there, why?
Yeah, I don't get it.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I just wanted to rant about that because that just drove me nuts.
It's funny that one of the strongest villains we've had this year was in a Power Rangers movie, and that's just it's kind of an.
I
odd
disagree.
thing.
Ego was 1,000 times better.
I mean, I said one of, not obviously.
I would say Ego's probably the best supervillain we have this year.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I actually enjoyed Rita more. Okay, so this is the end of this episode. We're gonna be right back next week for those of you listening, in about 10 minutes for us. The next episode we are going to be talking about Spider-Man, Thor, and Justice League. Thor, Ragnarok, and Justice League. So those are our next ones, and I hope I will see you guys, or you will hear me next week. And bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.